TNA Genesis is, well, next year. A few days in January. But they're already making matches. We were going to have at least 2, but it would have been Matt Morgan versus Mr. Anderson this week, and we would have faced Hardy at Genesis. But, you know, Anderson's in that concussion. So we'll have one guaranteed match, and that was kind of made at Final Resolution. As the number one contenders, Beer Money will face Motion and Machine Guns at Genesis for the World Tag Team titles. Now, I don't really know who's going to win this one. I mean, the odds-on favorite would be Beer Money, because not only do they have the size advantage on Motion and Machine Guns, but they are multi-time TNA Tag Team champions, so you would think they'd be one of the members of Immortal and Fortune to get the belts back into the faction due to Hulk Hogan having this lawsuit with Dixie Carter. But we might have other matches made in the near future. You saw them on Impact. AJ Styles attacked almost forgot his name there, Douglas Williams, for the Styles clash on the stage. Normally it would have been a botched clash and it would have been horrible. But that could lead to something for the global title at Genesis. But the big picture here is the main event of Impact tonight. Mickie James versus Tara in a steel cage. Not only do you not see women main eventing shows like this, like in a normal match, but in a steel cage. We haven't seen a steel cage women's match in years. The last notable ones were Lita versus Victoria and Awesome Kong versus Tara. And then, of course, you had that fucking clusterfuck that was Angelina Love and Tara versus the Beautiful People. Title versus title thing. But the point is, you have not seen them often in recent years, as you should have. Because Lord knows, they would have been done internationally, they would have been done in the indies, they would have been done all over. Hell, if they let MMA, you know, them fight in a cage, females that fight in a cage, why not in wrestling? Why not in boxing? Why not in any sport? Hell, we could see fucking football in a cage. That'd be actually pretty interesting to watch. Football in a fucking cage. That'd be kind of cool, actually. But, you know, the point I'm making, I mean, you have not seen main events for women in a while. Hell, even on Superstars, we see a few of those every once in a while. Like tonight, we saw Eve versus Alicia Fox, and that was actually pretty decent compared to the Divas division so far. And honestly, it is great to see how they're reviving the women's division and how they're showing that tradition. Even the tag team division is back. Lord, they got rid of Hamada. You know, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but, you know, visa issues, or the fact that they did not defend the title in 30 days, even though the tag team division is not that big in TNA or in any female federation, you know, for tag team. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. The point is, there's not enough female tag teams in the division, you know, in the world right now to bring to a major company to have these tag team things. And you were forced to see an idiot as a jobber team with Brother Ray to reincarnate Team 3D and shit like that. Where you could have the women sign more women, have more shit to do. And hell, if I remember correctly, WWE Universe brought them back from being fired for no reason. You see, they were fired because people didn't show for matches. Sure, shit happens. I barely make it to shows anyway. But the fact is, you fire an entire division and you bring it back for NXT. And let me tell you something. Sierra is a fucking rookie. How is that possible? Out of everybody to be a fucking rookie. I could have been a better rookie for NXT. Fucking Sierra? I'll be surprised she lasts 1 week. Let alone the first elimination. Pisses me off though, but it'll be funny though to watch for that little whore lose in the first round. And I can put my money on that for sure. And sure, you can go vote on the forum and prove me wrong, but I don't give a shit, because she will lose eventually. But you see here, this is what I'm talking about. The entire division was fired, but yet they are bringing back divisions. They are bringing back the female. Hell, even women's boxing would have been more respected. And don't get me wrong. I mean, they're athletes in their own right. They do what they do, and they get paid for it as well. But they're more respected than the divas. And sure, it's just a bunch of tits and ass. But god damn, people, get your act together. There were true fans of that audience cheering for Daphne's return. Daphne came back. Yes, I'm not shitting anybody here. Daphne came back after probably an injury or what have you, or just, you know, people lost in the shuffle. And there was pop after pop. This is where the division needs to be. And WWE Universe needs to recognize that, and everybody else has to recognize that, because honestly, there's the whole fans like me that gave a shit about the Divas division back in the 90s and the 80s. This is 2010, and they're bringing it back. Good for them, but it's probably too late. But I'm not blaming. I'm not, you know, I don't really care. I mean, I love to see it. And honestly, I'm sorry this came a little more of a rant. Just praise the women's division. But seriously, do you remember the last main event in a women's match besides the Superstars or anything like that? It was probably Trish Stratus and Beth Phoenix in a mixed tag. A fucking mixed tag. Where the women's division probably wasn't as good back then as it probably is now, which is not really saying much. But back in the day, when there was main events for women, back in the day, I mean, for titles and all that shit, that was when it was great, and it needs to get back to that level. And even internet federations or indie federations like WWE Universe, other federations, need to realize that and stop bullshitting their company. Sure, nobody gives a shit about the Divas event. Sure, they think it's piss breaks. There's people who actually give a shit. People who actually work their ass off to make it happen for you fans. And sure, if it's for you to have those piss breaks, go at it and you can suck my dick at the same time. But those people who give a shit and care about the division and actually like watching it, I thank you. And I thank you for caring. This is why this division still lives, and you need to realize that. And if you don't realize that, fuck you and suck my dick right now. And I'm just going to end this before I rant even more, because this was supposed to be just a prediction video, really short video. But at this point, I don't care. Good night.